Hello and welcome back to the Birdcage and happy holidays. I'm Jack Kenna, joined alongside Alex King, and we will be doing a little bit of a Creighton episode today, previewing the game against St. John's, recapping a quick recap against Villanova, and then a few more little silly fun topics to go along and talk about
Silly
Creighton
fun topic.
basketball. The silly fun topics. We'll start it off recapping the game that took place like a week ago, right?
It was
A
December
little over a week
21st. That was, yeah,
when
not
Creighton
even,
beat Villanova 86-79 at home. What a win. What a huge win for a team that really needed to get back on track.
yeah, we had three guys drop 20 plus points in this game, which was we needed every bit of that considering the Blue Jays, no matter how long we play Eric Dixon, we cannot figure out how to defend him. I think if he played Creighton every game, he'd be the number one draft pick and would probably end up making millions of dollars. So I just don't really understand how we can ever guard him, but it worked out in the end.
Eric Dixon is quite frankly our kryptonite. He
Yeah.
will, if Eric Dixon plays the Blue Jays, just always take his overs because it's gonna hit. He is one of those players that will always get Kolkbrenner's number. He had 27 points.
Yeah.
It's like, damn. And this is a Villanova team that I don't think was very good. And the only reason they're in this game is because Eric Dixon just continues to dominate the Blue Jays. Now, the game started with both teams not missing. It was such an electric scoring run. Creighton shot 55% from the field, 56% from three. Nova shot 50% from the field, 40% from three. It was one of those games where teams were hitting shots. Creighton just outshot them and outlasted them, which is not something we've really seen so far this season.
Yeah, this game started really fast. I was pretty disappointed with the Creighton's defense, but in the second half we really kind of locked it down, except for Eric Dixon. Jackson McAndrews started this game really hot. He had like 12 in the first like 10 minutes, I think, and he ended with 13. So that was good. But the story behind this game was Fedor, who actually only ended up playing 5 minutes, which was a little disappointing, but I'd imagine we'll see him more soon.
Well, finally, the Fedor curse was lifted. This game happened such a long time ago. I forgot to mention that Fedor played because I
Yeah.
kind of forgot that he played, but he did play. He didn't get very many minutes. He was kind of not even a situational guy. He was like a let's go out and run guy. And that was because Coach McDermott pretty much made claims saying he wasn't really ready. He wasn't in shape. And Fedor is just happy to be granted eligibility. What were your big takeaways from that Villanova game?
Well, obviously the first takeaway is we can't defend Eric Dixon. But other than that, I mean, Kalkbrenner finally he had a good game. He had 23. Neal, honestly, he went 6 for 7 from three. I forgot about that. I'm looking at the stats, 6 for 7. It's so weird how every other game he can shoot, but this is one of them. And he hit a dagger near the end of the game. It was like a spin fadeaway 3-pointer from the top of the key, and I was like, damn, if he could do that all the time, I think we would be set. But I think honestly, Neal was the big takeaway here.
Yeah, Jemiah Neal, I don't want to say legacy game because he's had a few decent games here in a row,
That's the big
minus
one.
Georgetown, but nobody played good against Georgetown. So I'm really excited for what Neal can do. He's athletic. The most athletic player I can remember being in a Creighton jersey the past few years is Arthur Kaluma. And let's be honest, he wasn't really a huge fan favorite, was he?
No.
So looking at Neal, they almost have similar games. I think Neal is kind of starting to come into his own a little bit. What you need to realize if you're Jemiah Neal is you have to get easy shots. The pull up mid ranges, the three pointers to start the game, those are usually tough shots for just a player to kind of get into. But when you can get easy baskets at the rim, your game kind of opens up. You start having a little more confidence. I think when we see Jemiah Neal hit his first shot or his first few shots, it kind of slows down for him.
Yeah, the shots that Trey Alexander would make, like the pull-up mid-ranges and the fadeaways, Jamal Neal was trying to make those shots, and I just don't think that's his game. So if he really starts to focus on more wide open, like spot-up threes and then getting to the rim, I think he'd be a lot more successful like he was against Villanova.
Yeah, the inside out three pointers really worked for him. I mean, let's be honest, everything worked for him against Villanova. He didn't miss very many shots. So it
No.
was one of those to where if you make the game easy for yourself, you're going to create easy looks. And he did a really good job of that. Now, we play St. John's tomorrow on New Year's Eve. This is a game where in the past, Creighton has really had no problem with St. John's. We lead the series 18-11 all time. So we're 16-6 since joining the Big East. So we necessarily don't lose all that much. We kind of dominate St. John's since we joined the Big East. However, it's a new St. John's team. They have second year of Rick Pitino. They kicked our ass in New York last year.
Yeah.
What are you looking to what do you expect to see tomorrow for the Creighton Bluejays?
Honestly, this is St. John's plays a style that Creighton is awful against. They're very physical and they play very good defense, which is kind of like how Nebraska played against us this year, which we know how that turned out. But I think this will be very tough for Creighton. This is just a bad matchup because they're tough, and
This is
Patino's a good coach.
this is a well-coached team, a good team. Pitino last year, the Creighton Blue Jays won by 1 point when St. John's came to Omaha, and we
Patino
heard
said he
the
wanted to kill himself.
extremely iconic phrase from Pitino saying he wanted to kill himself
Yeah,
in the post-game presser. And so it's like this is one of those games that's like St. John's plays a style that scares Creighton fans. They're physical, and especially in the past when St. John's has had physical teams, they've almost been able to, how do I say it? They've almost been able to just terrorize us inside and
yeah.
defensive presence, and we've kind of been shown a little vulnerable through that so far this year.
What stands out to me is ex-Kansas player Zuby Ejiofor will be matched up with Ryan Kalkbrenner, which honestly I think is a good matchup for Kalkbrenner. But they're gonna have a good game plan as far as doubling him goes.
Mhm.
But I mean that was interesting to me. It's that Zuby's having a good year.
Yeah, RJ Lewis Jr. leads the team with almost 17 points per game. This is a Johnny's team that's really good. They're 11-2. They have two Big East wins already with they beat Providence by only a few. I wasn't really impressed with that game. And they kind of dismantled the DePaul team. So far, I'm not extremely impressed with the quality of Big East wins, but they've beaten a Georgia, or I think they lost to Georgia, excuse me, but they have a win against well, I guess they don't have. I was going to say they have a win against Baylor, but
They
no, they
lost to
don't.
Baylor
They
in
lost
double
to
OT.
Baylor in double OT when they should have won that game.
They
So
don't
Baylor and Georgia are their only losses this year.
they don't have an amazing win though. They beat Kansas State, but Kansas State's terrible.
Yeah,
Um, and that's really the only except for they beat Virginia, but Virginia's also down.
we lost their coach. Yeah, this is a
Yeah.
game that's interesting because they have Seton Hall transfer Kadari Richmond, who is one of the very best players in the Big East a season ago, and he's not off to the best start at
Yeah, he's
St.
been
John's.
slow.
I don't know what the deal is with Kadari Richmond so far, but he's just been really quiet, and I'm hoping tomorrow is not his breakout, hey guys, I'm still here game. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't really know if anyone on Creighton can guard him, especially with Pop Isaacs out.
Yeah, I'd imagine he might have a solid 20. Because I think Asheville will be guarding him, which is just not how we're gonna enjoy it. I'm interested to see. Do you think do you think Fedor's gonna start, or do you think he'll
I
just?
would hope Fedor plays more.
I don't think he'll start, but
I
maybe
don't think he's going to start just because we saw how good that starting lineup started against Villanova.
yeah.
And
I mean,
it's
I don't
what
have.
it's
Yeah,
like a baby blew out or something like that, powder blew out.
yeah.
So Creighton's gonna want to take advantage of quote unquote like stadium atmosphere and energy, which we both go to Kansas, so we know what stadium energy is like, and that's just not present at the CHI
I'll tell you, the game
compared
I
to
went
Allen.
to
But
was so quiet against Villanova. Like we would score and it would be loud for a second, and then it would just go silent. It was really weird because I'm so used to.
that's not what we're used to.
Yeah, well, like we went to the UConn game last year and that was loud, but that's kind of an exception. But like compared to Kansas games, it is so quiet all the time. It's kind of weird.
It really is. I don't. I wish we had a. I wish I knew why it was that quiet. I think it's just how the stadium's built.
I think it's probably the students because there's no students at Creighton. And so there was
There's
uh,
only 8,000 students there compared to Kansas, where you're looking at
40, 50.
40,000 students. So, and I mean, when you have a history that Kansas does, you're the fog. It's the fog. It's rowdy. That like that place. If you have not gone to a Kansas game, like you have to go to one. My brother Dewey, I really want him to come to a Kansas game because he's never seen something like this.
Yeah, he would be very impressed, I think.
I think he would be impressed. It's an awesome place to go watch a game. But I agree. I feel like just the way Kansas or Creighton started against Villanova, I don't think we're going to see Fedor start. I want to see Fedor play a lot more. He's got to get in shape. Something that I'm kind of surprised he's not already in decent shape. Just kind
Yeah.
of playing all the time, but he's not
Yeah, I
really
don't understand
done
that
with
because
any of those starters either.
I'm sure he's been practicing. He's like I know Jamal Neal said he's been practicing against the starters. So I don't know how he couldn't be in good shape, but I think game shape's probably just a little different than practice shape.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's something there. I expect Fedor will be starting some point in the future
Yeah, but definitely probably
because
not yet.
I think McDermott said in his post-game presser against Villanova, he came out with a press conference yesterday. I got about 5 minutes into it, didn't really get to listen to the whole thing. He said that we had a big break between Villanova and St. John's, and then we had a few games, and then we had another like 10-day break. So
Yeah.
I think by the end of that, at least another 10 or at least like 10-day break or 5-day break or whatever, we'll see more Fedor. I really hope he can score his first basket tomorrow because I just think that'd be super sweet.
Yeah. Well, so we play St. John's tomorrow and then Marquette Friday at Marquette. That'll be brutal. But after that, we don't play till the next Saturday, so that gives us a lot of time.
We can win that Marquette game
I
because
mean, yeah,
Marquette
we can
center's Ben Gold, and I don't think he's very good.
we can theoretically win any game, but that's gonna be a tough one.
Oh, for sure. Marquette game, Marquette away, UConn away. Those are pretty much chalk up L's. But when you look at it, Creighton doesn't have very many more losses to give.
Yeah,
If I'm
this is gonna
gonna
be a
be
struggle to make
honest,
the tournament. This is gonna be a struggle.
like we weren't projected in the ESPN bracketology, we weren't in the Fox Sports bracketology, just because of our rough start to the year. Obviously, that can change. We have the talent to probably make that change. And it just is really unfortunate we're not going to see Fedor play with a healthy team. We get to see Fedor play, which is electric, but we don't get Pop Isaacs. And I think if we had Fedor and Pop, the season would be a little more optimistic than it is.
Yeah.
We don't
Un-
have very many more losses to give. We can't
Unfortunately, right
lose.
now, I think the ceiling for this team is like a 8 or 9 seed, hoping for an upset on the 1 seed in the second round. Like that's probably where this team's going right now.
Yeah, sadly, that's not crazy. I could see a world where we just get on a roll and we get a 7 or a 6.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything more than that just because of how kind of average this team's been. I could see a world where we sneak into the top 25 again come the end of the year if we can rattle together 10 wins in a row or get 9 out of 10 or whatever. But it's just like the way it's kind of went this year, when you think of it, you got to play Xavier, who's still talented. You got to play St. John's, who's talented. Marquette, UConn, Butler.
Yeah.
I mean, we lost to Georgetown. So you're sitting there
Yeah.
just like, I don't know. Like that
Also,
Georgetown at Georgetown, you can't lose that game.
it will never look good on your resume.
No. Unless I mean they're having a pretty good year too, but and it's Ed Cooley, but like still losing that game to Georgetown's just not good.
No, yeah, that will never be a good look.
And so I really don't know what to expect. I do think that this team makes the tournament.
I
This
agree.
team, I think, is too good to not make the tournament, but I agree with kind of where you're going or where you're coming from. Like, there's a world where it's a pretty, we're on the outside looking in. I hope that's not the case, but I mean, some Nebraska fans on Twitter said it best. They were like, Creighton's got to keep winning. It's making our win look bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I hate those
I don't
guys.
I don't like the sound of that, but that's kind of true.
Right now, it's true. I mean, you can't really say anything about it.
Yeah.
What do you think Creighton needs to do to get a win over St. John's tomorrow?
Well, if we shoot anywhere close to it, like back to the Villanova game, halftime, I think we shot 80% from three, and we were only up by like two. So, I mean, if we
Yep.
shoot anywhere near that level and still play, I don't think they have a player equal to Eric Dixon. So I think we won't
Nobody
be,
has an Eric Dixon, though.
no.
He averages like 25 a game.
So we'll obviously be better off on defensively. But I mean, I think defensively we'll be fine. Offensively, we just have to focus on getting Kalkbrenner the ball. And I think the goal of this game is he needs to have 15 or more points or we might lose. Like we need to get him involved. And we also need to shoot well.
Coltburn needs to get involved. Ashworth needs to get involved. Between Green, Miller, Trout, those guys need to contribute. And we need to have some sort of production from Jemiah Neal that's a positive.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Ashworth has been really good. Like
He's
he's been
been really good.
without him we would be screwed because he's been our best player.
And McAndrew is right
He's
now
also
on
been,
my freshman Big East team. I mean,
yeah. Oh yeah.
he's been on a tear since he got into the starting lineup. He's looking really, really good. And I hope he stays because he's going to have a great future for the Creighton Bluejays. Now, this has me wondering because I kind of read an article by John Walker, who is the beat writer for the Omaha World Herald and the Creighton Bluejays, who wrote this article about Pop Isaacs, pretty much saying like he's had to overcome a lot over the past few years. The hip injury at Tech, which obviously continues to bother him, he's out the rest of the year. And then talking about how his father was diagnosed with cancer, and then he had obviously his legal issues, which got cleared up. So just he's been kind of dealing with a lot recently. And it's just, I hope he stays because he's a junior now. I'm pretty sure he's going to get a medical red shirt. I haven't heard anything, but wouldn't you think he'd get a medical red shirt?
I would think so, but I can't imagine transferring would do him any good. Like he
He
started
played
so
so
good.
well though
Yeah.
year. And now since his legal battle's over, I could see a world where he's actually put himself in a position where he could go play for a more blue blood program. But
Yeah.
also, why would you want to leave the school that you just kind of transferred to and who's taking care of you? It
Yeah.
really makes no sense to me. I just hope he stays because I think he could also be a Creighton, a really good piece for the future. But it's just like, I don't know. Yeah, he's had to deal with a lot. It's been a tough road. I just hope, the way NIL is, the way the portal is, those guys can just kind of get up and leave. And I really hope he stays.
Yeah. I think future wise, the fact that we're not gonna have Ashworth and Kalkbrenner next year is gonna be really scary. Like we gotta get a center that's gonna replace Kalkbrenner. So that's gonna be a little
I think
freaky.
I think Creighton might be able to get something in the portal though. Because when you think about it, apparently for the Players Era Festival that we went to and didn't do very good at, just if you went to that, you got $1 million for your NIL.
Yeah.
And so I'm hopefully, and when you think about it, Creighton doesn't have to donate to football.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can acquire a little more funds, maybe some wiggle room, because we'll free up Culk's money. So maybe we can do something there, go get a big splash. But
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting. I'm lucky that I'm not in charge of that now, but
Yeah, that's a problem for another time.
it's a problem for another time. I agree with you. I think we need to hit some shots against St. John's because they have players who can beat us. Let's do a little fun game now. New Year's resolutions for each player on the Creighton Blue Jays. I'm going to pull up the roster right now. Also, congratulations to Shane Thomas getting awarded a scholarship. I know you saw that video.
That was a cool video.
That was really sweet. I thought I was low key teary eyed watching that because
Yeah.
that was cool. I couldn't imagine something like that happening, but that's because I was not good enough nor tall enough to do something as cool as what they get to do.
Get a nice little Scully.
Nice little scholarship. That's sweet. We'll start it off with Jason Green, number 0. What is Jason Green's New Year's resolution?
Hmm. I'd say maybe learn how to score a little bit.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I'd say at least develop a little bit of an offensive game to where, because I think defensively he can do a lot of good things. Obviously, we know he rebounds the ball really well.
Great effort.
Yeah,
But
he has a lot of effort.
if he got some kind of bag, you know, if he got in his bag, I think he'd be a lot better.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. I think if we had a little bit of offense, he would be a little more dynamic, and I think he would see a little more of the floor. I'm going to agree with you there. Steven Ashworth, what should his New Year's resolution be?
Well, unfortunately, it should probably be to get a job, but no. Um, Play defense, grow like 3 inches, maybe.
Yeah, if I was Steven Ashworth, it's got to be defense,
Yeah,
right? Offensively, his game's there, but defensively, you just need to see a little more improvement than he has had the past few weeks. Because whether you like it or not, without Pop Isaacs, he's more likely to be guarding other team's best player, at least best guard. So
yeah.
you really need Steven Ashford to step up defensively. We're gonna skip Pop because he is no longer.
Get a new
Yeah,
hip replacement.
good. Yeah, good recovery. Jemiah Neal. I'm gonna start this one off. Jemiah Neal's got to be more consistent shooting the ball.
Yeah, because
Like
he
he
goes game in and game out. Like he can either miss 10 shots or make 10 shots.
he's got to be a 35% three-point shooter. He'll never get to 40, but we're not
Yeah.
asking him to get to 40.
Oh,
Get to 30-ish, 35. Let's knock down a few more shots consistently because I want to see what his three-point percentage is. I don't necessarily think it's that good.
I'm gonna guess like 28, maybe less.
Ooh. Season statistics. Gosh, I need to find them now.
Another one you could say for him is wait,
What do you,
I
what do you think? What do you think Jemiah Neal's shooting from three this year?
27.
35%. So
What?
apparently, he is 16 of 46, and he made six of them last game.
Yeah, I guess
So
that.
before that, you said he was 6 of 7.
Yeah,
He was 10 of 39 before the Villanova game, and then he
that's
hit
like
6 of 7.
26%.
So Jemiah Neal's got to if he can shoot it consistently, 35 to 40%,
Yeah,
we're looking good.
yeah, for sure.
But I think he needs to get a little more consistent. Let's go over to. Uh-oh, I lost my roster. Who's
We're
next?
or what number is
He's 5. So, I
six?
guess we have
Larry
Fedor.
Johnson. Oh.
Well, Larry
But
Johnson's no longer with the Blue Jays.
Fedor learn some English and then get in shape.
Okay, so you said learn some English and get in shape. I'm gonna go with you on the learn English part. That's gonna make the game a lot easier in
Yeah,
the United States. I think Fedor does need to probably get in shape. We need Fedor to be playing
I just
ASAP.
want to see this dude play basketball because I've heard so much about him. I want to hear him ball or see him ball.
I also want to see him ball. I really hope he's what they talk him up to be because I think if he is, the ceiling for the Blue Jays looks a little more optimistic.
Yeah, I agree.
Number 9, Ty Davis. He hasn't really played a whole bunch so far this year. Obviously, he had
When
a
he's in,
start against San Diego State, but what would his New Year's resolution be, you think?
he's not a scoring threat whatsoever. So I'd imagine either getting more confidence or getting some kind of scoring bag, just because he was just not a threat at all.
Yeah, I could see a world where Ty Davis is. Mine would be I want him to learn as much from Ashworth as possible. I want him to be a sponge because when he's gone, I really want to see Ty Davis take a step up and improve. And I hope he's not getting
Yeah,
discouraged about the amount of minutes he's kind of getting right now. But that's just the way it is. I really want him to be a
yeah.
sponge and soak up everything he can learn from Ashworth because Ashworth's been doing this thing for 10 years now playing college basketball. So just learn from someone who's done it before and hopefully he's ready to contribute next year. And
I
like I'm
agree.
gonna be honest, injuries happen. Like he might need to play. Like
Yeah, you gotta be ready.
if we're looking at it, if we're looking at it, he might need to play. We need him to always stay ready. Number 11, Ryan Kolkbrenner, National Player of the Year conversation. I don't think he's necessarily there anymore
That's exiting.
after his few dead games against Georgetown and Nebraska. But what would his New Year's resolution be?
I'd say be more consistent. Like, how can you drop 60 points against a team and then go to progressively get worse the rest of the season?
Yeah, I wouldn't say even consistency. I would just say play every game like you're the best player on the court and
Yeah.
be mad.
Show, show up to play every game.
Show up to play every game and have that mentality that you're going to put a hole through somebody and do it. There is no reason why Ryan Kolkbrenner can't average 22 points per game.
Yeah.
Like he's 7'1". He is like he should be the most dominant player on the court every game. And when you have games against Georgetown where you're kind of letting a freshman get the better half of you, when you're letting a three-man rotation of Nebraska centers beat you, like that shouldn't happen. I don't know why Ryan Kolkbrenner didn't put himself in position to get the ball every time and dunk on them and then get and ones against
Yeah.
Nebraska. But whatever. Shane Thomas, the redshirt freshman. What is his New Year's resolution?
Get better at basketball. Maybe I don't know enough about Shane Thomas.
Yeah, I think defensively he does a lot of good things.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to agree with you there. I think he just needs to get consistent on offense, show something. Mason Miller. What's his New Year's resolution? I think I know what you're going to say here.
I mean, I would say he's pretty good at cardio. He's pretty good at running around. I mean, he's got to figure something out. He can't shoot. Do something. I can't talk about him. You talk about him.
Yeah, Mason Miller needs to find that shot again. Led the Big East in three-point shooting a year ago, and after his leg injury has just not looked any
No,
part of the same player.
it's been nothing. He's got to figure something out.
And the crazy thing is he's shown us he can play. Has shown us that he can play
Yeah,
and start on a
I think
Big
that's why
East
he's
team.
playing so much is because Greg's like he should be able to play.
But you're just right. He just hasn't been able to do anything so far this year. I would love to see a world where Mason Miller can show out, knock down some shots, make himself a little more of a threat. We just haven't seen it yet. Hopefully, we
Yeah.
do. We're going to skip over Sammy just because Sammy has not gotten a whole lot of playing time this year. Let's go to the freshman Jackson McAndrew. What is yours? What is your New Year's resolution for McAndrew? Because mine's just weight room.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Get stronger.
Get stronger. He can. You know what he can do offensively. He's a sniper. He's actually shown a lot of promise getting to the rim as well, which I think is just incredible. But if Jackson McAndrew, he's 6'9" right now. If we could get Jackson McAndrew, he's 6'10", 220.
Yeah.
Um, no shot. He's 220.
Yeah, he's probably like
If we
205,
could get
210.
if we can get Jackson McAndrews 240, I would be extremely impressed.
Yeah.
However, 240 pounds for a 6'10" freshman, kind of walking around playing the game that McAndrews plays, I don't know how like feasible that is.
Yeah.
Like, is it likely you're going to see a 240-pound 6'10" stretch wing, athletic wing, or
I
is it
don't
going to
see.
be a more 225, 230?
I don't know if he necessarily needs to gain weight. He just needs to get like stronger. Like you can get stronger without gaining weight. Like he just kind of gets bullied around sometimes.
Yeah. But that's what mine would be. We're going to skip over Josh Townley Thomas because he just doesn't see a whole lot of the floor. Frederick King.
Play without fouling.
Yeah, I actually think he's done a better job in recent weeks of doing
Yeah,
that.
he hasn't been playing very much, but when he's in, he hasn't fouled, which is he got an early start on his New Year's resolution.
There you go. I agree. I think I would love to see Fred King maybe take a little ownership because there is a chance that Fred King is Creighton's starting center in a year.
Yeah,
And what I will say is the game that he did start against Notre Dame played really well.
yeah.
I am extremely impressed. I remember when Kalkbrenner went down 2 years ago with pneumonia. Fred King played really well. We didn't win a whole lot of those games, but King played well. So he's shown me when he does get the start that he is able to play at a higher level.
He's really shown that. Yeah,
I want to see him play at this higher level now when he's getting his little minutes. So I would feel more comfortable if I'm Creighton being like, hey, we don't really need to go into the portal and get a dude because we have a dude.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how he takes this summer, how he works this summer, how the rest of the season goes. Because you remember how much we were complaining about Martin Krompel when
And then he was
we
really
were in
good.
where were we? St. Thomas.
Mhm.
That was 2016, and we're just going nuts because all he did when he got in the game was take bad shots and foul.
Yeah.
And then he turned out to be one of Creighton's best players.
Then he got injured, and then our
Yeah.
season was over.
So it's like Fred King, let's see something. Let's see how well he can play. Last guy, Isaac Trout. What is Trout's New Year's resolution?
Mhm. I'd say just I don't know. He's been better defensively. I'd say just attack, like learn to attack the basket a little bit because he's a big guy.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He's had some, and even last year he had a few dunks that you're just like, yeah, he can get underneath, he can take down the rim a little bit. For
Yeah.
me, it would be just be way more consistent shooting the ball.
Yeah.
Everyone on Creighton could be more consistent shooting the ball. Let's make that clear. But like Isaac Trout's been getting some really good looks at the rim, and they just haven't really been able to knock them down. So far in the year, he is a 34% three-point shooter.
Yeah.
He's better than that.
Yeah.
He's a 45% three-point shooter. Mason Miller, a 40 to 45 three-point shooter. McAndrew, a 40 to 45% three-point shooter.
If they get shooting those clips, I think we could be tough.
100%. Like when you even look at it, like right now, Ashworth's shooting 40%. He could shoot better. Neal has to shoot better if we want to win. It's just the entire team itself can become more consistent shooting the ball. And I think we've just seen that in some of the games that we've lost, like Nebraska and Georgetown. Just shots just didn't fall.
Yeah.
Georgetown was a lot of everyone played bad and no one looked like they wanted to be there. But in the Nebraska game, I mean, though, just the way that Nebraska plays, what I will say about Nebraska is I'm not sold that they're an extremely talented team. They're not talented.
No,
Bryce
talent.
Williams is talented. Fred Hoiberg's a good basketball coach. They prey on teams not being able to score.
Yeah.
Because if a team can score, they lose the game. And you've seen that in the games that Nebraska's lost is because teams have shot really well against them. And that's just the kind of defense that they play. They force you to take tough shots. When Creighton beat them last year, it was because Creighton hit some shots.
Yeah.
So I'm confident that Creighton will be able to get back on track. We just need to become more consistent.
I agree completely.
Alrighty. That is all we have for today's episode of The Birdcage. I'm Jack Kenna, joined alongside Alex King. The Creighton Blue Jays take on St. John's tomorrow at 3 p.m. at the CHI Health Center. The game is on Peacock if you can't be there in person.
Yes.
And we will wish you guys a very happy holiday.